The deputy held the faded photograph above an evidence bag while 12-year-old Lily watched her father in handcuffs. "You broke into a county archive for this?" he asked. Daniel Cole stayed silent, staring at the woman in the picture, the same woman his late mother had warned him never to find. Why was a judge's name scratched from the back? Why did the county clerk want the photo destroyed? And why did an old man whisper, "That child was never supposed to survive"? Daniel had spent years protecting his daughter from his past. Now, one forgotten image could expose a secret buried for 34 years. Stay until the end, because the truth would change more than one family. The evidence bag crackled in Deputy Nolan Price's hand as he raised the photograph toward the fluorescent light. "You entered a restricted archive after closing," he said. "For this?" Daniel Cole stood 6 feet away, wrists cuffed in front of him. One metal edge pressed into the same place whenever he moved. Lily counted the gray floor tiles between them. "Dad, stay by the wall." Grant Hale emerged from the records room in a rain-darkened charcoal coat. He carried himself like rooms belonged to him. "That photograph belongs to the county," Grant said. "It was in my mother's box." "Then your mother possessed county property." Lily stopped counting. Rain shimmered beyond the glass doors. A clerk watched beside the copier, a paper cup untouched in her hands. Price turned the bag over. A young woman held an infant outside the old courthouse. Scraped fibers crossed the writing on the back. "You damaged it." "No." "You expect me to believe someone erased a name 34 years ago?" "Photograph both sides before anyone touches it again." Grant smiled thinly. "He talks like an investigator." "He used to be one," Lily said. Every face shifted toward her. "What kind?" Price asked. "It doesn't matter," Daniel said. "It matters if he's using old credentials to intimidate county employees," Grant replied. "I asked for a public register." "You bypassed a locked door." The service door was open. A wheelchair squeaked down the corridor. An orderly pushed an elderly man toward the exit, a plaid blanket over his knees. His head sagged until the photograph caught the light. His hand rose. "Stop." The orderly braked. One wheel clicked twice. The old man stared at the bag. A faded hospital band circled his wrist. "Mr. Finch, we need to go." "Bring that closer." Price glanced at Grant. "Keep moving," Grant said. The man ignored him. The woman was Evelyn. The copier stopped humming. Daniel stepped forward. The cuff cut deeper. "You knew her?" "Deputy, remove Mr. Cole." The old man leaned over the wheelchair arm. "That baby." "Edgar, please," the orderly whispered. Edgar Finch studied Daniel's brow, then his mouth, as though comparing him with a face kept for decades. "That child was never supposed to survive." Lily made a small sound. Grant crossed the corridor and blocked Edgar's view. "He's confused. Take him outside." "I'm not confused," Edgar said. "I carried the ledger." The orderly's fingers froze on the handles. "What ledger?" Daniel asked. Grant pointed toward the elevator. "Now." Price reached for Daniel's elbow. Daniel held his ground until the deputy met his eyes. "Record what he said." "I'm recording your arrest." "No, you're recording the moment you chose not to ask." Price's grip loosened. "Deputy," Grant warned. The elevator opened. Cold air swept through the corridor. Lily moved from the wall, but the clerk caught her gently by the sleeve. "Don't," the woman murmured. 12 tiles separated Lily from her father. As Price guided Daniel toward the elevator, Edgar twisted beneath the blanket. "October 17th, he called. "Look for the names marked dead." Grant's hand closed around the evidence bag. Then the lights in the records room went out. 36 hours earlier, Daniel turned the workshop sign to closed at 6:47 p.m. Rain tapped the window. The radiator hissed. "Family history means actual family," Lily said. "Not 3 pictures of me and one of Mom holding groceries." Daniel hung his damp coat over a chair. Those were important groceries. It was cereal. Historic cereal. Her worksheet, Where I Come From, had 2 blank branches above Daniel's name. "We can call Aunt Sarah." She sent dates. "I need pictures from when you were little." "There aren't many." "There aren't any before you were 2. The kettle began to tremble on the hot plate. Daniel switched it off before it boiled. In storage, dust and old photo paper sweetened the air. He lifted down Rosa's cardboard box. Lily wiped a circle in the dust with her sleeve. "Grandma kept everything." Everything except labels. They sorted receipts, programs, a mitten, and worn envelopes. Daniel made a careful row. Lily worked faster. "This one has your name." Inside the unsealed envelope lay a photograph beneath tissue paper. A young woman stood on the courthouse steps with an infant. Wind lifted her dark hair. Behind her, the stone arch carried the county seal. A crack ran from one corner to her shoulder. "That's not Grandma." "No." "Is it you?" Daniel placed the photograph under the restoration lamp. Light revealed a pencil circle around the woman's face. On the back, a surname had been scraped away. Why would somebody do that? The gouged letters shone like tiny silver scars. "Don't touch the surface," he said. "You say that when you don't want to answer. Fingerprints damage emulsion." "And you don't want to answer." He angled the print. The baby's face was hidden, but one ear showed beneath the blanket. Daniel's left ear carried the same narrow fold. Lily followed his gaze. "Dad?" A folded note slipped from behind the tissue. Rosa's handwriting covered one line. "If he ever finds this, tell him I was trying to keep him alive." The refrigerator motor clicked off. Rain dragged across the glass. Lily read it twice. "She meant you." Daniel reached for the note, but his fingers missed the edge. "Maybe. Who is she?" "I don't know." "That's not true." Their reflections hovered over portraits waiting for repair. "Your grandmother once said some questions cost more than their answers." Did Mom know? Daniel turned the photograph over. A stamped date sat beneath the scraped name, October 17th, 1992. "No. I never showed her this." "You never saw it." "Then I never told her there was anything to show." Lily erased one blank box on the worksheet. Pink rubber dust gathered under her wrist. "What are you doing?" "Leaving space." "For whom?" She looked at the woman beneath the cracked glass. "That's what we're going to find out." Daniel should have returned the photograph to the box. Instead, he switched on the scanner. Blue-white light filled the shop. As the lamp passed beneath the image, Lily pointed at the courthouse window. "Stop!" Daniel froze the scan and enlarged the reflection. A man stood behind the woman, half hidden by the stone frame, watching her hold the child. Then another mark appeared beneath the damaged surname, the pressed edge of a handwritten W. At 7:18 p.m., Daniel lowered the scanner lid and opened the contrast controls. "Don't sharpen it yet," Lily said. He glanced at her. "Since when do you give restoration advice?" "Since you almost erased the W." The workshop smelled of dust and peppermint tea. Rain ticked through the gutter as the monitor lit Daniel's hands. He increased the side lighting 1 degree at a time. Beneath the scraped surname, shallow grooves emerged. "W," Lily whispered. "Then maybe an A. Or an O. You always say not to guess. I say not to trust the first answer." He traced only what he could verify. a capital E, a long downward stroke, the curve of a D. Beneath them, almost lost in the abrasion, sat a date. October 17th, 92. That matches the stamp, Lily said. Yes. So whoever erased the name missed the pressure marks. Daniel opened the county's public index. Records filled the screen. The sequence jumped from file 92-4176 to 92-4191. 15 files are missing, Daniel said. He searched the judge roster from that year. One result appeared. Evelyn Ward, probate judge. Is that her? It could be. Call someone. Daniel found an old contact, Maya Brooks. The federal kind of colleague, Lily asked. He looked at her. I listen when adults whisper in kitchens. Maya answered. Daniel Cole. Either the world is ending or you found something impossible. I need you to examine an image. That sounds like work. It is. Then say please. Please. He sent the scans. While they waited, Lily turned the mug handles outward, as her mother once had. Maya called 7 minutes later. The paper stock is government issue, she said. Early 90s. The border was trimmed after processing. Meaning? This wasn't made for a family album. It was attached to a case file. Lily's chair scraped the floor. The scraped area covers a surname, Maya continued. The pressure marks may read Evelyn Ward. There's probate coding in the corner. Daniel studied the woman's face. Can you access a preservation copy? Not without a case number. He enlarged the courthouse window, reflected behind her. A white placard showed 4 blurred digits. Maya exhaled. You still have that eye. It paid the rent once. And cost you everything else. Lily lowered her gaze. Maya's voice softened. Sorry. Daniel reduced the speaker volume. Can you run the sequence? I can check whether a duplicate exists, but if the county index was altered, someone may be watching those searches. Who? That is not the first question. What is? Why did Rosa hide an official evidence photograph in her house? The radiator knocked once, then went quiet. Lily touched the blank branch on her worksheet. Ask about the judge. Daniel did. Keys clicked on Maya's end. Evelyn Ward left the bench in November 1992. No retirement notice. No disciplinary record. Her name simply stops. Death certificate? Not in the public index. Daniel folded Rosa's note along its old crease. Maya said, Do not take the original to the county. Before he could answer, a message appeared on the monitor. The sender field was blank. Stop searching October 17th. Lily read it over his shoulder. Then the workshop phone began to ring. The workshop phone rang 4 times before Daniel lifted the receiver. No one spoke. He listened to the faint hum of an open line, then to a soft click, as if someone had set down a second handset. Who is it? Lily whispered. Daniel pressed end. Wrong number. You don't believe that? No. By 8:12 the next morning, the rain had thinned to mist. Daniel left Lily at school with her family history folder tucked under one arm and drove to the county archive. The old building smelled of wet stone, floor wax, and overheated paper. At the front counter, a woman with silver-framed glasses aligned 3 stacks of request forms until their edges matched perfectly. Marlon Voss? Daniel asked. She looked up. Records custodian. I need the probate register for October 17th, 1992. Her fingers stopped. Daniel placed a photocopy of the photograph on the counter, image down. Public index numbers 92-4-176 through 92-4-191. Marlene's eyes moved to the date before she turned the copy over. The color left her face. That volume was damaged. By what? Water. When? Years ago. Then I'd like the preservation log. She straightened the forms again. Those records are unavailable. A cart squeaked between the shelves. A young man in a brown sweater pushed it toward them. He was lean, pale, and wore one red shoelace and one black. "Morning, Ms. Voss," he said. "Ethan, take those boxes downstairs." His gaze flicked to Daniel's copy. Daniel said, "Was the register moved this week?" Marlene's pen slipped from her hand. It struck the counter and rolled toward him. "No," she said too quickly. Daniel bent to pick it up. Beyond the counter stood a gray cabinet marked Restricted Storage. Dust lay across its top, but a clean crescent shone around the keyhole. Water damage usually leaves transfer records. "Mr. Cole, I know who you are." He set the pen beside her hand. "Then you know I'm asking for the record, not permission to invent one." A printer started behind her. She did not turn. "You left federal service," she said. "Whatever authority you had ended with it. I'm here as a citizen. That can be more dangerous." The words escaped before she could stop them. Daniel watched her align the forms a third time. Dangerous to whom? Marlene pressed a buzzer beneath the counter. "Your request is denied." Footsteps sounded from the hall. Daniel slipped the photocopy back into his folder. "Put the denial in writing." "I don't have to." "You do if the record is public." The young assistant returned without the cart. "Ms. Voss, the basement door is jammed." "Then wait." He stood beside Daniel, shoulders tight. A security officer appeared at the far end of the room. Daniel turned to leave. At the drinking fountain, Ethan brushed past him and dropped a folded routing slip near his shoe. Daniel kept walking. Outside, mist gathered on his collar. He waited until the archive doors closed, then opened the slip beneath the stone awning. Register 92-P, Cabinet C, scene 7:40 a.m. Below it, in hurried pencil, Ethan had added, "Hale requested access yesterday." Daniel looked back through the glass. Marlene stood behind the counter, staring at the locked cabinet. Then she raised one finger to her lips. Grant Hale waited beneath the archive awning when Daniel stepped into the rain. "You should carry an umbrella," Grant said. Daniel folded Ethan's routing slip into his wallet. "You should answer public record requests." Grant smiled. Water beaded on his charcoal coat. "Walk with me." They crossed toward the municipal lot, while tires hissed over wet pavement. Grant stopped beside a black sedan. "I know about Lily's school," he said. "The tuition increase. The scholarship she lost after your wife died." Daniel's jaw tightened. "I can fix that. Full tuition through graduation. No forms." "In exchange for what?" "For perspective." Rain drummed on the car roof. "You found an old photograph," Grant continued. "Families survive by leaving some things buried." "Whose family?" "Yours, if you were careful." Daniel stepped closer, enough to make Grant lower his voice. "Did you request Register 92-P yesterday?" Grant glanced toward the archive windows. "You were good at your old job." "That isn't an answer." "It is the only one you need." Daniel turned away. "Think about your daughter," Grant called. "Not your curiosity." Daniel stopped. "I am." At 10:06 a.m., a red notice was taped to the glass door of Cole Photo Restoration. Temporary closure. Fire code review. Lily stood inside with her backpack on. The workshop lights were off, and cold had crept into the room. "What happened?" she asked. Daniel peeled one corner of the notice. Rain ran from his sleeve onto the floor. "Inspection issue. We passed in August." "I know." A city inspector waited near the counter, turning a clipboard in his hands. "Anonymous complaint. Blocked rear exit. Improper chemical storage. The exit is clear. It was not when photographed. Daniel looked toward the rear door. 2 paper cartons blocked the passage. Those weren't there last night. The inspector lowered his eyes. I only document conditions. Then document that. I can return in 10 business days. I have customer negatives in temperature control. Take them off-site. With the power disconnected, the inspector pressed his lips together. I'm sorry. Lily watched him leave. Outside, Grant's sedan rolled slowly past the window. She saw it too. Who was that? No one you need to worry about. Stop saying that. Daniel lifted the cartons and stacked them beneath the work table. His wet fingers slipped on the cardboard. Did this happen because of the picture? He did not answer quickly enough. Lily removed her backpack. Mom said you used to disappear into work and forget what time it was. This is different. She said that too. Rain crept beneath the plastic sleeve. The red closure stamp blurred across Daniel's name. I'm trying to protect us, he said. From what? He looked at the dark scanner and the photograph locked in the drawer. I don't know yet. Lily's mouth tightened. Then maybe you're protecting the question, not us. She took her folder and walked into the back room. The door closed softly. Daniel stood alone until his phone vibrated. Maya had sent one line. The missing case sequence was accessed at 6:31 this morning from inside the archive. A second message arrived. Someone is deleting it now. At 10:14 a.m., Daniel called Maya from the darkened workshop as Lily watched from the back room. Can you stop the deletion? I can preserve the access log, Maya said. Keys clicked rapidly. The missing sequence is being purged under a retention order. Signed by whom? Grant Hale's office. Daniel looked at the red closure notice bleeding across the glass. Send me everything. I did, but the courthouse window reflects part of a case placard. I need the negative, not the scan. Daniel opened the locked drawer. The print remained. The film was gone. Lily. She appeared with her backpack zipped to the top. Did you move it? Her hand tightened around one strap. You said someone was deleting things. Give it to me. A knock struck the front door. Deputy Nolan Price stood outside, rain shining on his uniform. Daniel opened the door 6 inches. Routine vehicle check, Price said. My car is across the street. Then let's look at it. Lily stepped into view. Price looked at the backpack. School day? She's leaving now. Wet leaves clung to Daniel's sedan. Price circled it and touched a cracked tail light. You were at the archive this morning. Yes. You upset Ms. Voss. I requested a public record. She says you photographed restricted storage. She's mistaken. Price glanced toward Lily, who waited beneath the awning, hugging the backpack against her ribs. Open the trunk. Do you have a warrant? I have a report of county property being removed. By me? Price did not answer. Daniel unlocked the trunk. Inside were frames, a blanket, and cleaning supplies. Price shifted each item. Anything fragile? Yes. He set a frame down more gently. From the awning came the sharp sound of a zipper. Daniel turned. Lily had opened the side pocket. Her fingers slid the negative behind a torn strip of lining. Price straightened. What's she doing? Looking for her bus pass. I can ask her. You can ask me. Rain tapped the brim of Price's hat. You think being calm makes you right? No. Evidence does. His radio crackled. Unit 12. Confirm contact with Cole. Price lifted it. Contact confirmed. Grant's voice came through, faint but clear. Check the bag. Lily's fingers stopped. Price stared at the radio, then at Daniel. Mr. Hale is coordinating a records complaint. He's an administrator, not your commander. He reported stolen material. He reported it before you searched. A delivery driver slowed. The laundromat owner watched from her doorway. Price extended his hand toward Lily. Backpack. Daniel stepped between them. She's 12. Then don't make this harder. I'm not. The school bus turned the corner, brakes sighing at the curb. Its folding door opened. Daniel looked at Lily. Get on, Price said. She stays. Daniel's voice remained level. Are you detaining my daughter? The radio hissed. He lowered his hand. No. Lily walked past him. At the bus door, she looked back once, then climbed aboard. As it pulled away, the backpack remained upright against her chest. His phone vibrated. Maya's message read, Case number found. Linked to closed maternity ward. A second line appeared. There were 14 infants listed dead that night. At 6:45 p.m., chairs scraped across the schoolroom as rain struck the high windows. Daniel stood by the back wall, damp coat over one arm, Lily's family history board against his knee. Her blue paper crest curled at the corners. Mr. Cole, Principal Avery said, please come forward. Grant Hale sat beside the board president, one hand on a folder. Deputy Price stood near the exit in plain clothes. Daniel crossed the room. Grant opened the folder. Parents are concerned about your recent behavior. My behavior? Entering restricted buildings, questioning staff, involving your daughter in matters she cannot understand. Lily sat between Aunt Sarah and her teacher, arms folded tight. Is this a school meeting? Daniel asked. Or a county hearing? Several parents shifted. No one answered. Grant continued. You have called yourself a victim while creating disruption around a sealed adoption record. The word adoption moved through the room in whispers. That record isn't sealed, Daniel said. It's missing. According to you. According to the index. Grant leaned back. You left federal service under difficult circumstances, did you not? Lily looked up. Daniel said nothing. A woman in a gray cardigan stepped from beside the stage. Claire Donovan, Child Welfare Services. She was 35, tired-eyed, her thumb pressed into a notebook. We received a report that Lily may be exposed to unsafe situations tied to your investigation. From whom? The source is confidential. Grant lowered his gaze. Claire stepped closer. This is not a removal hearing. We need a temporary safety plan during our assessment. Sarah rose. Lily can stay with me. Lily turned. You knew? I knew they might ask. You packed my bag? Sarah's silence answered. The radiator clanged. A child tapped one shoe against the tile. Daniel set the family board on an empty chair. How long? 48 hours to begin. And if I refuse? The court may decide. Grant closed his folder softly. Daniel faced him. You called them. I protect this community. You protect files. Price looked at the floor. A parent raised her phone, then lowered it when Grant noticed. Lily stood. Dad, tell them this stops now. Daniel recalled Maya's message. 14 infants listed dead. I can't. Her face changed before anyone else moved. You can, she said. You just won't. Lily, I wanted one normal project. She looked at the adults who had discussed her father like a rule. I wish we were a normal family. The tapping shoe stopped. Daniel reached for the board, but the paper crest slipped beneath a chair. A man's boot landed beside it, creasing one corner. No one picked it up. Sarah led Lily away. Price stepped aside. Claire followed, closing her notebook without meeting Daniel's eyes. At the door, Lily looked back. He expected anger. Instead, she seemed to be memorizing the distance between them. Then the doors shut. Daniel pulled the crest from beneath the chair. On the back, in Lily's handwriting, were two names, Rosa Cole and Unknown Woman. The phone vibrated. Maya had sent a county disposal order scheduled for midnight. Below, one line was stamped in red, Register 9, 2-P. Destroy on site. At 11:41 p.m., Daniel parked behind the county archive and killed the headlights. The service entrance stood open 3 inches. Water dripped from the fire escape in slow metallic taps. Daniel checked Maya's disposal order again. Destroy on site. Midnight. He called her. Tell me you're not there. The door is open. That is not an invitation. It's a trap or a mistake. Both can get you arrested. Daniel slipped on his coat. Keep the line open. Inside, every third corridor light was on. The archive smelled of damp plaster. Below, a cartwheel squealed, then stopped. Daniel, Maya said through his earpiece. I'm in. He passed the front counter. Cabinet C stood unlocked. Register 92-P was gone. On the floor lay one torn page. Daniel crouched. 14 names ran down the left column. Each carried the same notation. Deceased before certification. At the bottom, one line remained unfinished. Baby ward. Male. Transferred. A door slammed in the basement. Daniel slid the page into a clear sleeve. Leave now, Maya said. Footsteps rose on the stairwell. Grant Hale appeared first, dry beneath a dark overcoat. Nolan Price followed, radio in hand. Grant looked at the cabinet. I hoped you were smarter than this. The door was open. After hours entry. Restricted records in your possession. I received notice those records would be destroyed illegally. Price said, Put the page down. Photograph it first. Daniel. Both sides. Grant stepped closer. You've harassed staff, frightened your daughter, and invented a conspiracy around a family picture. Maya's voice crackled from the earpiece. I'm recording. Grant heard it. Price held out his hand. Phone. Daniel ended the call and placed the device on a shelf. Turn around. You know this is staged. I know you entered a closed building. The service door was open. And you walked through it. Daniel glanced at the security camera. Its red indicator was dark. Your camera is off. Price looked up. Grant did not. Daniel set the sleeved page beside the phone. Log where you found it. Cold metal closed around his right wrist. The second cuff tightened until his fingers tingled. Lily stood by the front doors beside Sarah, her school coat thrown over pajamas. What are you doing here? Daniel asked. I found the order in your folder. Sarah's face was pale. She ran out. I followed her. Grant picked up the page. County property. Lily stepped forward. That has his name on it. Grant's eyes dropped to the unfinished line. Price guided Daniel towards the corridor. Sarah, take her home. No, Lily said. Lily, Daniel said quietly. Count the tiles. She stared at him. Like the kitchen floor. Her lips moved. 1, 2, 3. At tile 7, the elevator opened. An orderly pushed Edgar Finch into the corridor beneath a plaid blanket. Edgar saw the photograph inside Grant's evidence bag, then Daniel in handcuffs. That child was never supposed to survive, he said. Grant's hand tightened around the bag. Remove him. Edgar leaned forward. October 17th. Look for the names marked dead. Price's grip shifted. The records room lights went out. In the darkness, paper tore once. At 7:03 a.m., the red safe light in the school darkroom made Lily's hands look borrowed. Hannah Lee locked the door. At 31, the photography teacher wore her black hair in a loose knot and tapped 2 fingers against her wrist when thinking. You told the principal this was for your family project. It is. You also said the police might take it. They took the photograph already. Lily unzipped her backpack. Her fingers caught twice on the torn lining before she pulled out the negative, warm from being pressed against her side all night. Hannah held it by the edges. Where is your father? Lily looked at the enlarger. Can we print it? The ventilation fan hummed. Chemical trays gave off a sharp, metallic smell. Hannah studied her face, then switched off the overhead light. Show me what you need. They placed the negative in the carrier. The image appeared upside down. Courthouse steps, a woman holding a baby, rain frozen in gray streaks. Bigger. Hannah adjusted the lens. The reflected window widened. A young man stood behind the woman, half hidden by stone. Beside him, another figure accepted a thick envelope. Lily leaned closer. That's Grant Hale. You're sure? I saw his old campaign picture in the archive. Hannah's tapping stopped. They exposed the paper and slid it into Developer. White turned to shadow. The courthouse emerged first, then the woman, then the reflection. A face sharpened in the glass. He looks 25, Hannah whispered. The picture is from 1992. The envelope appeared last. One corner carried the county probate seal. Lily's breath shook. Can you scan it? A knock struck the door. Miss Lee? Principal Avery called. Open up. Hannah reached for the handle. Please, Lily said. Outside, the principal knocked again. We were informed you may have unauthorized material. Hannah turned to the scanner. You have 1 minute. She fed the wet print through a blotter while Lily opened the school laptop. Red light reflected in the tears beneath her chin. The scan bar moved slowly. Come on. The handle rattled. Ms. Lee, this is not optional. Hannah braced one palm against the door. The file appeared. Lily attached it to 2 messages, one for Maya and one for Ethan. Her finger hovered over send. If this is wrong, Hannah said, they'll say your father used you. They already do. And if it's right? Lily looked at Grant's young face. Then they used everyone. She pressed the key. Sent flashed twice. The door opened hard against the stopper. Principal Avery entered with Deputy Price behind him. Price looked from the trays to the laptop. Step away. Hannah stayed where she was. Do you have a warrant? I have a request concerning stolen county evidence. It was in her backpack. Price's eyes moved to Lily. Give me the negative. She placed the empty sleeve on the table. He checked it, then the scanner. Where is it? Hannah lifted the wet print. Processing. The printer started. One page slid out, then another. Maya's reply appeared across the top. Image received. Reflection confirmed. Below it was a second line Lily had never seen. The man taking the envelope is Nolan Price's father. At 8:26 a.m., Maya Brooks entered Riverbend Elder Care with Lily's enlarged scan. The lobby smelled of lemon polish and oatmeal. A television murmured beneath a slow clock. A nurse behind the desk glanced at the photograph and stopped chewing. Edgar Finch, room 214. He's resting. He asked for me. The nurse looked toward a closed office. Sign in. Edgar was awake, his plaid blanket folded over his knees. Without his hearing aid, he watched Maya's mouth before answering. She placed the image on his tray. His fingers moved toward young Grant Hale, then stopped over the man accepting the envelope. Thomas Price, he said. Nolan's father. Edgar nodded. Hospital administrator. Smelled like cloves. Daniel arrived 10 minutes later, released pending review in yesterday's shirt. A red groove circled one wrist. Lily? With Sarah. She sent the image. You said you carried the ledger. I carried babies, too. The radiator clicked. Breakfast carts rolled. Edgar pressed his palms to the blanket. Poor mothers came in alone. Some were told the child had stopped breathing. No viewing. No certificate to hold. Then Price changed the ward number, and Judge Ward signed emergency placements because she believed the mothers had consented. Evelyn didn't know? Daniel asked. Not at first. Maya opened her folder. 14 infants were listed dead that night. 14 files. Fewer babies. Names were reused. Daniel's chair scraped. The child in the photograph? Edgar studied the narrow fold in Daniel's left ear. You. Only the clock moved. Evelyn found duplicate forms, Edgar continued. She tried to stop it. Rosa hid you before Hale's people could move you again. My mother was Rosa. She became your mother. Daniel faced the window. Sunlight caught dust above the radiator. Maya asked, Will you give a statement? Edgar reached for his hearing aid. His fingers missed once. I should have spoken while Evelyn was alive. A knock came. A young aide entered. Mr. Finch, transport is ready. For what? Maya asked. Specialist appointment. Edgar frowned. I have none. The aide checked his chart. The order came from administration. Daniel took the page. A blurred signature sat at the bottom. G. Hale. Maya photographed it. Cancel the transport. I can't. Call your director. The aide retreated. Voices rose down the hall. Maya opened the side door to a small therapy garden. Cold air entered, carrying wet leaves and disinfectant. Edgar gripped the wheelchair rims. There's a service gate. Daniel moved behind him. They crossed beneath bare branches. At the gate, Maya's phone rang. Ethan spoke breathlessly. I found a microfilm canister. Wrong tax number. Probate seal underneath. It has Judge Ward's order. Secure it. I'm trying. Marlene saw me. A door slammed on his end. Daniel looked back. 2 staff members had entered Edgar's room. Go, Edgar said. They pushed into the alley. A delivery truck blocked the street, engine rumbling. Maya opened her car as Daniel steadied the chair. Edgar, give me your hand. No answer. Daniel turned. The wheelchair was empty. The plaid blanket lay folded on the seat, still warm. Edgar's hearing aid rested on top, its amber light blinking. At 9:12 a.m., Ethan locked the basement microfilm room and wedged a steel chair beneath the handle. Marlene knows, he whispered into the phone. Do not open that door. A fist struck the wood. Ethan, give me the canister. He stared at the gray reel. Its label read, Property Tax, Lot 8C, but beneath the peeling paper, a probate seal showed through. Daniel entered. Where's the reader? Ethan pointed. And Mr. Finch? Gone. Maya arrived seconds later. Someone used a duplicate order. The knock softened. Please, Marlene said. You don't understand what happens if that film leaves. Daniel removed the chair, but kept one hand on the latch. Then explain. Marlene entered alone. One cardigan button sat in the wrong hole. Grant told me the missing files protected adopted children. Did you believe him? Maya asked. For 28 years. Daniel threaded the reel through the reader. The machine warmed. Tax maps flickered past, then a court header. Ethan stopped the reel. Order for independent review. October 19th, 1992. Judge Evelyn Ward's signature crossed the bottom. The order cited duplicate death certificates, altered maternity logs, and the unexplained removal of live infants. Below it, review suspended. Judge reassigned immediately. Print it, Maya said. The printer whined. Grant said those papers were forged, Marlene murmured. By whom? Daniel asked. Rosa Cole. His hand froze. The next frame showed a nursing roster. Rosa's name appeared beside the closed maternity ward, stamped Person of Interest. Keep going, Daniel said. An incident statement filled the screen, signed by Rosa. I removed the male infant listed as ward, baby, after observing staff prepare a second transfer form. The child was breathing. Judge Ward instructed me to take him beyond county custody until federal authorities could be contacted. Daniel read it twice. She didn't buy me. No, Maya said. She didn't steal me. Marlene removed her glasses. Grant told everyone she had. Daniel pressed his thumb to Rosa's signature on the glass, as if warmth might cross 34 years. She let me believe she was ashamed. Maybe she was afraid you'd search, Maya said. The final frame listed evidence. Item 14, Ward infant and Judge Ward, courthouse steps. Held by Nurse R. Cole, pending federal transfer. The photograph. Lily's name appeared, then vanished. He called back. Sarah answered. She won't speak to you. Is she safe? Yes. Tell her Rosa saved me. She needs more than another secret, Daniel. The door rattled. Grant's voice came through. Open this room. That material is under legal hold. Maya checked the pages. Whose hold? Marlene stared at Evelyn's order. Not his anymore. She pulled the wall alarm. A bell erupted. Fire doors released upstairs with metallic thuds. East stairwell, Marlene said. It exits behind the courthouse. Ethan gathered the prints. Maya took the reel. Daniel stayed 1 second longer before the glowing signature. Rosa Cole. Then he shut off the reader, and his reflection replaced her name. At the stairs, a voicemail arrived from an unknown number. Edgar Finch whispered, They moved me once before. This time, I chose where to go. At 2:07 p.m., people stood along the hearing room's back wall. Daniel sat beside Maya beneath a cold vent. Lily and Sarah were in the second row, the folded family crest in Lily's hands. Rebecca Sloan, 54, chaired the independent commission. Her silver hair touched her jaw. This hearing is public, she said. No sealed session. No private agreement. Grant adjusted his tie. Marlene aligned a pencil with her statement. Nolan stood near the aisle, out of uniform. Rebecca faced Daniel. Did you enter the archive after hours? Yes. Was the service door open? Yes. Did you remove records? I sleeved one torn page to keep it from being destroyed. Grant's attorney rose. He admits unlawful entry. Rebecca raised one finger. You will have your turn. A camera flashed. Maya connected her laptop. The torn ledger page, Evelyn's order, and Rosa's statement appeared. These documents prove nothing together, Grant said. Maya placed 3 transparent sheets on the projector. The fibers match county stock from 1991. The numbering is continuous. The suspension stamp uses ink found in 6 files signed by Thomas Price. The altered death entries were made by the same hand. Nolan's chair creaked. Rebecca asked, Deputy Price, did your father run the maternity ward? Yes. Did you know his name appeared here? Not until yesterday. Grant said, Be careful. Nolan said, I am. Rebecca displayed Lily's scan. Young Grant stood in courthouse glass as Thomas Price accepted an envelope. That could be anyone, Grant said. Then Maya opened the archive audio. Grant's recorded voice filled the room. Check the bag. Nolan closed his eyes. The recording continued. Daniel questioned Lily's detention. Grant ordered the search. Price hesitated. When it ended, Grant laid his glasses over his prepared speech. Rebecca looked at Marlene. Were records scheduled for destruction? Marlene reached to straighten the pencil, then stopped. Yes. On whose order? Mr. Hale's. A murmur rose. Grant leaned toward her. You were protecting confidential families. I told myself that. Marlon. She faced him. You removed cards after adults requested their birth records. You said disclosure would ruin good names. Grant's attorney stood. Speculation. She signed the disposal logs, Maya said. Ethan carried a box to the evidence table, mismatched laces visible beneath borrowed pants. Original logs, he said, including yesterday's access request. Grant's name topped the page. Rebecca turned to Nolan. Why was Mr. Cole arrested before the camera outage was investigated? Nolan looked toward Lily. She did not lower her eyes. Mr. Hale said the theft was in progress. Did he have authority to direct you? No. Did you ask for proof? No. The answer needed no excuse. Grant pushed back his chair. This proceeding has become theater. Daniel spoke for the first time in 20 minutes. Then stay for the ending. The rear doors opened. Edgar Finch entered in a wheelchair, a plaid blanket over his knees. Grant's glasses slipped from the papers and struck the floor. Edgar held a small cassette. I carried the ledger, he said, and Judge Ward left a message for the child they erased. The cassette clicked into the player at 2:31 p.m. Edgar rested one hand on the machine. Evelyn recorded this 3 days before she vanished. Grant's attorney rose. We object. Rebecca Sloan did not look at him. Sit down. Lily moved beside Daniel and placed the folded family crest between them. A woman's voice emerged beneath static. My name is Evelyn Ward. If this is being heard, the review I ordered was stopped. Daniel gripped the table. There are children listed as dead who were alive when they left the maternity ward. Thomas Price altered transfer records. Grant Hale carried payments. Rosa Cole helped me remove one infant before a second false certificate could be filed. Grant stood. Turn it off. Nolan stepped into the aisle. Sit down, Grant. The tape hissed. The child's name was Daniel. No one moved. The reels kept turning. Lily slid her hand across the table until her smallest finger touched Daniel's. He watched the recorder. Evelyn's voice returned, thinner now. Daniel, I am your mother. Rosa is not your captor. She is the reason you lived long enough to hear this. His breath caught once. I wanted to come for you, but anyone watching me would have followed. Rosa promised you an ordinary life. I asked her to let you hate the silence if hatred kept you safe. Marlene covered her mouth. A reporter stopped writing. If you find the truth, do not turn it into revenge. Names matter. Records matter. Revenge creates another kind of erasure. The tape ended with a snap. Mr. Finch, where was this stored? Beneath Judge Ward's document case. Rosa gave it to me when the investigation collapsed. Why keep it? Edgar looked at Daniel. I kept thinking courage would arrive tomorrow. Grant pushed away his attorney. You expect this commission to trust a frightened orderly and a dead woman's tape? Maya stood. It contains case numbers never released publicly. 3 match the microfilm. Rebecca pointed to Grant's chair. Sit. He did not move. Nolan crossed the aisle and placed a hand on the chair back. Not forceful. Final. Grant sat. Daniel unfolded the crest. One branch read, Rosa Cole. The other read, Unknown Woman. Lily took a pencil. Can I? Daniel looked at the blank branch. Write Evelyn Ward. Lily printed the name, slowly. The pencil scratching seemed louder than the cameras. Near the door, Claire Donovan held her closed notebook against her chest. Rebecca addressed the room. Every county birth, death, adoption, and probate record from 1988 through 1996 is now protected. Nothing leaves custody without 2 independent signatures. Maya leaned toward Daniel. That saves the files. What about the people? We start finding them. Edgar reached inside his coat and removed a narrow paper strip. 14 handwritten codes filled it. These are the children moved through Ward 3. Not all of them know. Daniel accepted the strip. It was warm from Edgar's pocket. At the bottom, beside one code, someone had added a location in blue ink. Riverbend North Care Facility. Who is there? Daniel asked. Edgar's fingers tightened around the blanket. Evelyn's court clerk, he said. The last person who saw your mother alive. At 8:40 the next morning, Daniel stood outside Riverbend North Care Facility with Edgar's paper strip in his pocket. The clerk was June Halpern, 86, sharp-eyed, wrapped in a green shawl. When Daniel showed her Evelyn's photograph, she touched the cracked corner. She knew they would remove her, June said, so she made copies. Where are they? Gone. But I mailed one set to a federal office. Maya leaned closer. Which office? June looked at Daniel. The one you later worked for. By noon, the commission had the receipt and proof that Grant's father intercepted the packet. Grant Hale resigned before the afternoon hearing. Nolan Price was suspended pending review. Marlene signed a cooperation agreement and surrendered 2 boxes of index cards she had hidden instead of destroying. Daniel sat beside Lily in the back row. What happens to Grant? She whispered. He answers for what he did. Is that enough? No. That's why we're still here. At the settlement conference, the county attorney slid a folder across the table. Compensation, he said. Your business reopens today. Tuition support for Lily. In exchange, he continued, for confidentiality regarding unresolved identities. Daniel did not open the folder. How many families? We don't know yet. Then you're asking me to be quiet before you know who was erased. This protects families from unnecessary harm. Daniel removed Rosa's old fountain pen from his pocket. A silver county pen lay beside the signature page. He pushed the silver pen away. I'm not signing silence. Rebecca entered with Maya and placed another document on the table. Daniel read each line. An independent records authority, 2 signatures before any destruction, free genetic search assistance, outside review of sealed files, and a petition process for adults seeking their original identities. The attorney frowned. This exceeds 1 complaint. It exceeds 1 family, Daniel said. Lily unfolded their paper crest. Rosa's name stood beside Evelyn's. The crease from the school chair still crossed the center. Rebecca tapped the final page. The board votes tonight. At 7:16 Cytwell p.m., the motion passed 5-2. Rain ticked against the tall windows. No one applauded at first. Then Ethan, standing along the wall in his mismatched shoelaces, brought his hands together once. Marlene joined him. Claire Donovan lowered her notebook and did the same. The sound spread, brief and uneven. Outside, reporters crowded the steps. Do you feel vindicated? One called. Daniel buttoned Lily's coat before answering. I feel late. What should people remember? That a record is not paper when a life depends on it. At the workshop, the power was back on. Daniel peeled the red closure notice from the glass. The stamp had left a faint stain across his name. Want me to scrape it off? Lily asked. No. Why? He smoothed clear tape over the mark and turned the sign to open. So we remember what almost worked. Inside, the scanner warmed with a low blue glow. On the counter waited the first sealed request from the new review office. Daniel turned it over. The applicant's birth date was October 17, 1992. 3 months later, The first restored birth file arrived at Daniel's workshop in a plain brown envelope. Lily set it beside the old photograph and turned both toward the morning light. The red stain from the closure notice still crossed the glass door. "Do you open it?" she asked. "Not unless the applicant asks." A woman named Elaine Mercer waited near the counter, both hands around a paper cup. She had driven 4 hours. "They said my original file existed," she said. "I thought they meant a copy." Daniel slid the envelope toward her. Elaine opened it slowly. The radiator clicked. Outside, a truck groaned through the wet street. A name appeared at the top of the first page. Elaine covered her mouth. Lily looked away, giving her the privacy the county never had. By spring, more than 200 people had requested reviews. The new office required 2 independent signatures before any record could be moved, sealed, or destroyed. Every adoption file received a digital backup, and adults could request genetic search assistance without hiring a lawyer. Ethan became deputy record supervisor. He still wore mismatched shoelaces, though now he checked every disposal order twice. Marlene worked with the commission 3 days a week. She returned index cards 1 box at a time and wrote explanations for every gap she had helped create. "I cannot repair all of it," she told Daniel. "No, but you can stop hiding the damage." Nolan Price lost his deputy rank and completed an ethics review before taking an administrative post. One evening, he came to the workshop alone. "I followed Grant because questioning him felt like accusing my father," he said. Daniel kept cleaning a glass plate. "I'm not asking you to forgive me." "Good." Nolan nodded. "I am sorry Lily saw the cuffs." At the back table, Lily heard him. She did not answer, but she stopped cutting photographs until the door closed. Grant Hale resigned, then pleaded guilty to obstructing an inquiry and ordering public records destroyed. At sentencing, he admitted his father's name had mattered more than the names missing from the files. The court barred him from public office and ordered him to cooperate with the identification review. No one applauded. In October, the school displayed Lily's finished family history project. Rosa Cole's photograph stood beside Evelyn Ward's. Between them, Lily had left a narrow white space. Her teacher touched it. "Did you forget someone?" "No. That space is for the people we haven't found yet." Daniel stood behind her with the restored courthouse photograph. Marlon had returned the original in a new archival sleeve. The crack still crossed Evelyn's shoulder, but her face was clear. After the exhibition, Daniel and Lily walked to the memorial garden behind the courthouse. 14 markers formed a circle beneath young maple trees. Some carried names. Others carried only dates. Lily placed the old paper crest at Evelyn's marker. The fold from the school meeting still ran through the middle. "Should we make a clean one?" she asked. Daniel looked at Rosa's name on one branch and Evelyn's on the other. "No, keep the crease." Wind moved through the leaves. Beyond the wall, the courthouse clock struck 6. Lily slipped her hand into his. The photograph no longer felt like evidence. It felt like a door left open. Have you ever seen a family, workplace, or institution protect its reputation instead of telling the truth? Share your experience in the comments, especially if one quiet person chose to speak when staying silent would have been easier. Send this story to someone who believes dignity should never depend on status, influence, or the name written on a file. Subscribe for more stories about justice, quiet resilience, hidden truths, and ordinary people who create lasting change without seeking revenge. And remember the people whose names are still missing from the record. Sometimes, change begins when someone refuses to throw away one photograph, one document, or one unanswered question